Get ready, Texans, with the calm weather and the cooler conditions. The bays, nearshore and offshore fishing should be on fire.
Yep, that's right. And if you're living the lake life, we're seeing giant bass on deep crankbaits and Texas rig big worms and crappie on minnows and jigs. So sit back and relax. The Texas Insider Fishing Report starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report as we bring you into the last weeks of August already. Rick, a lot is changing all over the state weather-wise, and even though the temps are still pretty toasty, do you think we're seeing a glimmer of fall patterns shaping up?
No, what I think, Bree, is you had a little tropical weather go through there, and certainly that sucks a lot of the condensation, a lot of the humidity right out of the area. They certainly needed a lot of rain throughout the whole state of Texas, so they're actually getting some from the central on down south, so good for them.
Good for them. All right, well, before we see where our first region is going to be, let's check in with Dave at the workbench. Dave, you're so close to us today. I love it.
I am. We're talking a little bit about your favorite fish. We're going to talk a bit about dolphin fishing.
Oh, yes.
So that's what we're talking about tonight. How to catch them, where to look for them, how to catch them, and
awesome.
A little bit about how to clean them, too.
I always love talking about my mahi. All right, it's time to take advantage of fish catching conditions in the Front Runner Boats Upper Coast region. So let's start the show off with Captain Carl Weston. Go for it, Carl.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thank goodness we're getting a little bit of rain, cooled it down a little bit, makes it nice for fishing. So anyways, let's dive right off into redfish. We still have some large schools of slot-sized fish along the shorelines over in Sabine Lake. That water temperature is holding between 82 and 85, just depending on how much of an influx we get from the Gulf. It changes that much. But if you get a chance to fish in this week before the rain muddies up, it's a real treat to chase these fish in this cleaner water. It's a lot of fun, something we don't get to do very often here in the Upper Coast. So now moving on over to Galveston, like the jetties, the bull red bite is still on fire. Boats are anchoring up near that jetty mouth and tossing out a chum bag. They're rigging live or dead shad on a 50 to 80 pound leader, around a 7 or 8 ounce, 8 ounce trocar hook, with an 8 ounce sinker. I like to free line a few baits as well when we're fishing there. Cover as much water column as you can. The artificial baits are working as well this week. The Fish Bites Fight Club shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head in light colors and shrimp flavor. Berkeley Chapo 90 in black chrome or bones. You know, it's my favorite. I'm going to throw it out there every week. It's hard to beat. Don't forget about the rocks over at Tech City Dike. Watch for the birds in the morning, the slicks. Over in the open water, they'll bring you right to the fish, guys. Got a picture today. I have a buddy of mine with a nice bull red.
That is nice shot. All right, tell us what else you got this week, bub.
Okay, let's talk a little bit of trout. This late summer trout bite is solid as well. Anglers are getting out and making it happen right now. The oyster reefs over in the middle of the bay complex are holding some good fish right now. Just like with the reds, the birds have been on those fish early. Watch for those little slicks and check your bottom sheet for some good marks. You know, we've pitching soft plastics along the rocks there. It's been very productive this week. Let's hit the Fight Club shrimp again. I'm beating dead horse, but great bait, guys. Live shrimp on a popping cork. We have some anglers free line and live croaker as well, doing great. So no matter what your favorite setup is, the fish are here. It's looking like this fall will be a really strong bite. Get out there and catch these beautiful fish right now. I've got a picture today of Manny with a nice trout.
Nice. That's
And,
a good.
so, hey, bouncing
Where's
offshore in our spot, Rick, kingfish are finally making a slow comeback this summer. It's been tough for the last 2 years. We're seeing a little bigger fish this month than we did before. This makes for a better day offshore. It really does. If you can mix in a box of kings with red snapper as a charter captain, that puts a smile on a lot of faces. You know, the first strike of the kingfish is amazing with that aerial show. Sometimes I've kind of missed it this year, not catching many. But, you know, big kings have a nickname they call them smokers. And once you witness that run, you'll know why. You know, the line comes off that reel so fast, the spray of water looks like smoke. So, hey, jump in your front runner, set those pen reels out. Hey, those killer R&R sabikis are going to get you the bait you need for live bait on these structures. And when you're on your own way home, don't forget your Starbright, because if you get a mess of kings, you're going to have a mess. So, we got a picture today of PCAP with a nice kingfish.
All right, one more to go, bud. What do you got?
The amberjack, let's head off another week. This fall amberjack season, the weather been much better, like you talked about earlier. It's been way calmer, less rain. We went out to get to the deeper spots, and I'm seeing some really big fish. So, you can start with a butterfly jig on these fish and see them. Live bait is always our number one choice, but you can go through, once again, a whole spectrum of baits. I rig a Blue Runner on a 10 or 12-ounce trocar hose, about 8-foot piece of 250-pound leader, and about halfway down, you'll see these fish in the water column. Hook up with that 30 or 50 wide pan, and you will drag them to the boat. I'm telling you, these are your fighting fish. They're fun. If you never caught one, try to get out and at least catch one. So these amberjack are going to appear as larger marks in the water column, too, when you're looking at your bottom machine. This is a perfect time to deploy that Rodan. If you get on them, lock down, you can drop down, catch these fish. You don't even have to move. I would say if you don't eat amberjack, please release these fish. They're not that great frozen. I have a picture of a good buddy of mine, Bill, with a nice little AJ.
Nice. All right, bud, thank you for starting us off this week. We're very grateful. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Coast region. Carl says, inshore, chasing schools of redfish in Sabine and throwing the Berkeley hard baits, such as a Fight Club shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head, while watching for the morning birds, and then offshore, target amberjacks while dropping a large Blue Runner on the structure set your rig with the 12-0 circle hook through the dorsal fin of the Blue Runner and drop it about halfway to the bottom, Bree.
All right, well, a crappie day on the water in the Star-Charm Middle Fresh region is better than a day at the office, and our guide, Matt Losher, knows this better than anyone. So get us out on that water, Matt.
All right, Bree. Yeah, we're actually we're going to start with crappie, and we're not going to talk about bass this week. We've been talking about bass a lot lately, and we just don't have time to talk about all the great species we have here in the Middle Fresh region. So we're going to start with crappie, and we're going to go through a few other species this week, and we'll get back to the bass next week. So Toledo Bend, always one of the best crappie lakes in the Middle Fresh region. The fishing here is just, fishing anywhere, it's been so hot and dry, and just the current conditions have not been that great, so it's been a little tough. But we've actually caught some of the biggest fish in the last few weeks than we've seen in the last few months. So that's really cool. So the location of the fish hasn't changed much in a while. They're still hanging out in about 15 to 30 feet of water out there in the deep timber and around those bridge pilings. And they're gathering up in really big schools right now because the water level's coming down and it's gathering them up, bunching them up even more. They just aren't feeding very aggressively. They have so much shad around them all the time. I think they're kind of spoiled. They don't really have to work that hard. They can feed whenever they feel like it. So you have to be a little more patient with your presentations right now. I like to put those live minnows down there and just let them soak right in front of the fish for a little while. Just kind of aggravate them into biting, and they'll bite better that way, just letting it soak. And then that Panfish Assassin Monkey Milk Jig is still effective as well. I'm fishing it a little differently right now, though. I'm having my best luck actually dropping it down below the school and then slowly bringing it back up through them to trigger a strike. I got a photo for you of two nice crappie caught by two nice ladies holding them there.
There you
Showing
go.
off some nice slabs we caught recently.
All right.
And we're going to move over to Sam Rayburn. The crappie on Sam Rayburn, they're stacked up in big schools as well. And I expect those schools to get even more numerous in the future as that water level continues to fall. Because remember, it's still coming down quick at Rayburn. That water level is really dropping. It's going to pull more and more of those fish out off the flats and out toward that deeper water. The level there now is almost 4 feet low, and it's still coming down a few inches a week. The crappie are hanging in 15 to 25 feet of water around the channels and the deeper areas. Once again, they're using that timber and the bridge pilings to hold around, and they're biting minnows and jigs as always. Now we're going to switch it up and go to the old whisker fish, the catfish. Great supplement fish when things are tough. Seems like the catfish are always biting. They're old faithful. And they're great to eat if you want to get some table fare. So going up to Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman Selman tells me that the catfish up there have been biting really well. They're holding around deep humps in about 25 to 30 feet of water. And the best bait for them have been the gizzard shad. Now back down here to Toledo Bend. The catfish population in this lake is just incredible. We've enjoyed catching a bunch of them lately. They're holding really deep here as well. They're all the way down in 30 to 40 feet of water around the river channel. And they will bite almost anything you put down there, I think. But I normally just drop the live minnows down because a lot of times we're out crappie fishing, and this is kind of a secondary deal, so it works out as a really good 1-2 punch. They bite those minnows, and then they're just super aggressive. So get a live minnow or a worm or anything like that down there, and they'll jump all over it. Now, swapping over once again, going to the white bass and hybrids. I'm going to kind of lump them together in this one. And you can't talk about white bass in the Middle Fresh region without thinking about Lake Livingston. It's always a great lake for that. And they've been biting well down there. I'm hearing that they're holding around 10 to 15 feet of water down near the main lake humps on the lower end of the lake. And heavy jigging spoons have been good for catching them, jigging it right off the bottom lately. So keep that thing close to the bottom. They're not schooling a whole lot from what I'm hearing, so keep it down low. Then back up to Richland Chambers. Mr. Thurman Selman tells me that the white bass have actually been hard to locate, but the hybrids are being caught in the same areas as the catfish. They're out there in 25 to 30 feet of water around those humps on the main lake, and shad are working well for catching them also.
All right, Bub. Well, thank you for batting second for us in the StarTron Middle Fresh region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots. Matt says the crappie are gathering in large schools on Toledo Bend. The Sam Rayburn, the minnows and jigs are both working to catch them. Don't forget about the catfish are plentiful and biting in Richland Chambers and Toledo Bend. And those white bass are biting spoons on Livingston, and hybrids are biting shads at Richland Chambers. Man, he covered them all, didn't he,
He
Bree?
did cover them all. All right, well, the Upper Fresh region is ready to shine coming up next. But first, Dave is doing his best at the workbench to shine bright for rigs and techniques. It's Mahi Mania over there, isn't it, Dave?
Yep, I'm going to try to show you all the ways to catch dolphin.
All of them?
No.
It looks like you're going to show us all of them.
Try.
All in 5 minutes.
You can do it.
I can do it.
Gift of gab over there. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio Sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, this workbench is where the rigs and techniques happen each and every week, and with me is my good buddy Dave Farrell. So, Dave, let's talk about mahis.
Yeah, they're awesome fish. You know, they're a beautiful fish. They're probably the perfect game fish to me because they have all those beautiful colors, the blues, the greens, the golds, and then they turn into a tiger stripe in front of your eyes. And they're unfortunately cursed with a tender white flaky meat that freezes well as well.
Yeah.
Not many fish freeze well, and he does. So he's very sought after because he tastes so good. So we're trying to catch them all the time, especially when we're offshore. And we're lucky because they grow really fast. They can grow 10 to 15 pounds a year. They start spawning when they're like 3 months old. So they make a lot of babies. They eat a lot of food. They get big really quick, which makes it great for us. And what's really good is they jump like crazy when we hook them. So That's another cool thing about them. They're found around a lot of debris and weed lines, anything that's floating in the water, because they're a true pelagic species, which means they're they spend a lot of time offshore. Most of the offshore is a big empty. So whenever you find floating bucket, a tree branch, anything floating in the surface of the water, a big weed line especially is great. A big chunk, any patch of sargassum will hold these fish because that's a feeding station, and they will come back again and again to those places. And we got a lot of stuff to catch them with. Always just try to remember, though, a smaller dolphin will try to eat big things, but big dolphin like to eat big things. They don't spend a whole lot of time chasing little things around. So if you want to target big dolphin, use big stuff. If you're just, you got a regular schoolie bunch of dolphin out there, it doesn't matter. You can put whatever you want out there because they will try to eat everything that you put out. And sometimes that can be bad if you've got a bunch, limited supply of ballyhoo and you're going through a bunch of little tiny dolphins and they just tear you apart. So we're looking for birds and debris, and when we're rigging up these straight pin rigs, we got some pin rigs, and this is actually a daisy chain. We're going to use an O'Shaughnessy style 7/0, a 25 4F 8/0 in laser sharp hook. In an 8/0 is especially my favorite, but you can use a 7 or even up to a 9 depending on where you're fishing and the size of the dolphin. And we use the O'Shaughnessy style because circle hooks don't work that great on dolphin a lot of times when you're trolling. You don't want to be trolling circle hooks around. And even when you're chunking bait, throwing a live bait out to a dolphin, they eat so fast that a lot of times they charge right through the bait, and they have those other fish around them, so they're trying to get away from those other fish. And if you're using a circle hook, it's almost like you're trying to set the hook. They run away so fast.
Right.
Or you're reeling too fast, because they'll grab the bait, they'll swallow it, and they'll swim away so fast that it'll just come flying out like you had done something wrong.
Right.
And you really haven't. So that's why we use that O'Shaughnessy. Another thing, naked baits. A naked lure works great. A naked ballyhoo is good. A naked just plain lure with a hook in it without a bait is really good. This is a pin rig that's made for a ballyhoo in it. The less things that you have in the way, the better chances your hookups are. So if you're using just a plain ballyhoo with a hook, your hookup's going to be great. If you're just using one of these with just a hook in it, your hookup's going to be great. That's one of my favorite baits is the Sea Star, an Island Lure Sea Star that has the rubber skirt. I also like it with the hair. Again, I like the hair because I think the hair is a little bit less of a impediment to a hookup than the rubber is, but that's just me. Try to keep the head of the dolphin in the water when you get him up close to the boat. If you're going to try to gaff one of these fish, if you pull a dolphin's head out of the water, it's going to try to jump on you.
Right.
Keep his head in the water and stay behind whoever's wiring the fish and try to hit the fish closest to the eyeballs or the head as you can.
Right.
Because you want him to come over the side head first.
Right.
We don't want to hook him. We don't try to gaff him in the middle or near the tail. If you touch his tail, he's going to fly on you. If you pull his head out of the water, he's going to fly on you. So try to keep his head down on the water. Use if you're catching dolphin. And like I said the other day when I said use a little tiny hook, a lot of times you don't want to do that when you're fishing for dolphin, because they do have that the way their body is shaped, it comes up really thin up towards the top of their head.
Right.
And if you're hitting on that way up top along their dorsal with a small hook gaff, you might tear out, especially if he's a bigger one. Know where you're going to go with that fish before you put the gaff in it. Because a dolphin goes crazy on the gaff, and he'll go crazy in the box. They just go nuts when you stick them. So make sure you know where that fish is going. Have the box open. Say, hey, the box is open. I'm putting this fish in here, and then do it. Don't be playing around.
Good job.
Nice. Had so much more stuff.
And when you take that picture, make sure you smile and put that fin in your mouth, because that's the way to do it. All right, we had the pleasure of Mike McFarland from the Upper Fresh region joining us in the studio last week, but this week he is back home on Lake Fork with a ton to report on. So Mike, let's hear it.
Hey guys, sure good to talk to you, and I sure do miss you. Wish I was there, but let's tell you about the bass fishing on Ray Hubbard with Joe Shipley. Water temperature is mid-90s, bass is good. Great numbers of nice-sized bass continue to be caught in 15 to 22 feet of water on the drop shot rig with a trick worm. My favorite worm is going to be that Bass Assassin 4.5 little tapper worm, and the best color is watermelon candy. Hit the rock piles, rock bridges, and pillars. Those are your best locations. Lake Athens with Jay Bonner, good fishing there. 1 foot below pool. Bass are still schooling in the open water and can be caught on top waters like the Berkeley Bullet, Pop, or Jaywalker. Hair jigs, swim jigs, and spoons are also good options to try on those open water schooling fish. And you can always target the outside grass lines and points with Texas rig big worms, rattle jigs, Carolina rig creature baits. One of my favorite baits there, again, is that Bass Assassin 4.5 cap-out worm. I rig it wacky style, and I fish the edges of the grass. Let's move on. Lake Levant, Kerry Thorne, black bass there is fair. Day bite is tough. You need to fish at night. So use Texas rig soft plastics like the Bass Assassin 11-inch big assassin worm, dark colors, and you also can try creature bait on a little Carolina rig. I like the Skunk 8, the Bass Assassin Skunk 8. But again, fish the same stuff you would during the day, just do it at night. Lake Fork, man, it is so hot here in Texas that Lake Fork is actually very tough right now. The lake is 1.5 feet below full pool. Extreme heat and high pressure is making the daytime very tough. I recommend you fish at night. Look for the underwater lighted boat docks, shallow square bills, spoons, Texas rig worms, jigs, creature baits. All of it can be effective when you find an active school, but you just got to move around and find those active fish. Moving on to crappie, Lake Levon with Kerry Thorn, a little bit slow there. You can find them on the timber and brush piles, rock ledges, and structure. It all seems to be in about the 15 to 20-foot range, and you must use live minnows. The live minnows are the deal in the summer. Jackie Wiggins says the same thing on the Lake Fork, that if you're not using live minnows, you're just not catching lots of fish. However, Lake Fork crappie bite is as hot as he's ever seen it be during the summer. They're in the trees, 14 to 28 feet of water. He's focusing on timber that hasn't seen much pressure. The lake has got a lot of crappie fishermen on it. So you got to cover a lot of water, look for active fish. And you'll see those fish on the brush piles, laydowns, other structures. And many times some of them are really finicky and hard to catch. Just keep moving until you find ones that'll bite. Again, minnows there are the deal. You can catch a few on small hand-tied jigs and soft plastics if you'll tip them with live minnows or use the little crappie nibbles or add scent to help get the bites. And here's some crappie with Jackie Wiggins. A couple good picks.
Nice picture there, bub. All right, what else you got? Some stripers?
Yeah, stripers and white bass. Lake Levon, actually very good at Levon. It's about the same. Nothing's really changed at Levon for them. Look for them on the main lake points in 10 to 20 feet of water. Chartreuse and white lead slab spoons with a hair jig tied 18 inches above it will catch 2 fish at a time. Now, you're not going to get them both at the exact same time. You get one, and while you're fighting one, you'll get the other. Occasionally, you'll see them surface. If you do, go a 3.5-inch paddle tail swim bait to catch the bigger fish from the school. And if you have a BOGO thumper, I mentioned this before, it's kind of like a hammer in a box. It hooks up to your battery, and it makes a thumping in the bottom of your boat. It'll actually bring those white bass right to the boat. It's the craziest thing, but it works. A BOGO thumper. Matt Cartwright on Tawakoni, he said Tawakoni's a foot low. And again, there's that high pressure and heat that's making striper fishing itself tough. You can still catch sand bass by making long casts with tail spins and half-ounce slab spoons, but slow crawl them along the bottom. Don't fish them fast. 8 to 12 feet of water, slow crawl those. The big stripers and hybrids are tough to catch, but they're in deep water where you can kind of down-rig troll big swim baits and Alabama rigs over the deep flats. If you'll stay with it, you will catch a few. Matt's so persistent, he's always going to get them. And here's some great pics of Matt catching those big old stripers.
Nice. All right, tell us a little about catfish.
Tawakoni is excellent. I mean, on fire. The catfish there are bait. If you'll bait a deep hole 20 to 30 feet with sour maize or cattle cubes, go back the next day with punch bait or any of the dough baits, you can literally catch 100 fish in 2 or 3 hours. They're not real big, but it's great action. Good channel catfishing there on Tawakoni. And then Lake Levon, same thing. Excellent cut shad, cut bluegill, 10 to 20 feet. And again, those pre-baited fishing holes. If you'll pre-chum the hole the day before, you can't go wrong. You will fill your limit of channel catfish every time.
All right, bud, you got it all in. Good job. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. Ray Hubbard continues to be the best place to experience some hot bass fishing. Drop shot rigs with Bass Assassin 4.5-inch little tapper worms is producing great numbers of nice sized bass. And you can also have a great day of catching channel catfish in Tawakoni, where pre-baited fishing holes are producing 100 fish a day.
Those are some good tips right there. All right, we're seeing 100 fish a day. I'll take it. We're seeing what your weekend in the Lower Coast and Fish Bites of Middle Coast regions are holding for you coming right up. And make sure to scan that QR code on your screen for a direct pass to all of our social media outlets where you can like and follow our Instagram and Facebook pages. And to see all new fishing adventures, tips, and reports, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Tin Cup, Mountain Whiskey. Shallow Sport, the Texas legend. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. And Penn, let the battle begin.
You know, Bree, a propeller is a huge part of your Yamaha purchase. If you don't have the right propeller, you're not going to get the performance out of the boat that you want.
Right.
So here's a little tip on how you might want to consider your next propeller purchase.
Let's see it.
Hey guys, as you can tell, I'm here at the boat show, and every year I'm always amazed at all the variety of different props that you see throughout the boat show.
Now, Yamaha this year has introduced some new props that we want to talk to you about. Understanding what prop is going to best serve your applications is going to work best whenever choosing a prop. So if you're going to run high up on a jack plate or you're going to run in real shallow water, then you might want to run a 4-blade. A 4-blade is going to give you a better hole shot. It's going to allow you to run the jack plate up a lot higher, but it's also going to give you some pretty good fuel economy. So one of the boats, the propellers that I run on my Pathfinder 23 HPS is the Fusion 4. It's a great all-around prop for me. It allows me to carry a big load. I still get good fuel economy and good speed. I only sacrificing maybe 1 mile an hour on the top end. 3 blades are certainly going to be a lot faster, specifically if you're into the business of buying a bow lift prop so that you can get your hull out of the water. So like on our Maverick 18 HPX, we're running a 3-blade Pro Series propeller, which is a small diameter but a lot of pitch. So those are a couple key things that when you go to a Yamaha dealer, you want to tell them what you want. Now understand that your Yamaha is going to perform between 5,500 and 6,150 RPMs depending on the model. So the higher the RPMs, the more slippage you're going to have at the start off, and that's going to give you a great hole shot. So keep that in mind. Now, for you offshore enthusiasts, we introduced the XTO OS, which is offshore series, a few years back when we introduced the 425. Now we've come out with the XTO EC, which means extra cup. So we've given the propeller a bunch of extra cup here, but more importantly, we also went up in a variety of pitches so that the guys that are running big motor applications on big center consoles that are high performance boats, then you want to know that now we have the ability to have higher pitch 26, 27 pitch XTOs, and the EC stands for extra cup, which is going to hold better in those rough conditions. If you have any questions, you can go to your Yamaha dealer or you can go to YamahaOutboards.com.
Those small changes make a big difference.
Huge difference.
Huge. All right, there's a lot going on in the lower coast region, offshore and inshore. So let's hear what our options are with Captain Chad Kinney. I'm repping Bam Bam shirt today, Chad.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we had a little bit of tropical weather come through, which is actually going to be great for the fishing. I think we needed some much needed rain there. And coming up here in September 8th and 9th out of South Padre, we got the Wahoo Classic. Love fishing this deal. Y'all bring your center consoles down, book an offshore boat. It's a one-day tournament, lots of fun, easy entry fee, and there's some good money at hand there to win that. So we're going to talk about some inshore first before the offshore, the trout fishing. Been talking about it all year long. It still remains really good in the lower coast. They're still holding out in the deeper grass beds, and there's actually some little bit more flounder action showing up here along the deeper drop-offs and some guts on those hard sand areas. But that trout fishing, it's been good the whole year. I like seeing it. We got some good numbers, good solid fish, healthy fish. We're catching plenty of them on some soft plastics right now, saltwater assassin, sea shad. We've been using some chicken on the chain right there. Is working really good. We get some calmer conditions right now. The Mirror Lure Top Dog Junior has been working really good, especially in those calm mornings. Get there early, work those baits early and that stuff. Live baits still working really good. You can free line some live croaker. Right now the baits are still about medium size, a little bit bigger, so maybe a 5-aught to 7-aught Eagle Claw kale hook's working really good on that. But work those deeper grass beds are in the 3 to 5 foot still along there. And up into the King Ranch shoreline there, that we've been working really good. That trout green water starting to get in there. Remember, some new regulations are coming up here for the lower coast. We're going back to the 5-fish limit. So it's going to be 5 fish between 15 and 25 inches, and you're allowed 1 over 25 inches. So if you can kind of do your part to help the conservation here, we got some really good numbers. We can keep it there. Take what you want for some dinner and stuff like that. Release a bunch extra, especially the real big, females. We get some big females there. Let them go, get some good genetics, and get some of those good eaters in that 15 to 20 inch range, in my opinion. But then moving over to the flounder fishing, it's not a real fast and furious type deal, but there's some good ones, really good ones being caught, and some better numbers starting to show up. So I see this continue to get better here up through October into November. So right now, try along the ICW by the cabins, and up underneath the pilings and the drop-offs right there. Work the bottom really, really slow. Every angle you can. It's methodical. You just got to keep pitching and going and bump it. There's also some really good ones in the land cut there, up in the east cut. We've had a bunch of lower tides. This weather just pushed up some higher tides with us. So, and some rain with it, which is going to be excellent for this. What it's going to do is going to push the bait way up into the flats, up on the other edges like that. But it's all going to subside and come on out. So when those tides start falling back out in those guts and along that ICW, get out there with that outgoing tide. The bait's all going to fall out there, and these flounder are just going to ambush that stuff. So get your spot figured out. When it's all dropping off, I would definitely get out there next week or so and hit that if you're looking for some flatty action. Heading offshore, plenty of action offshore, both inshore as far as like near the beach, up to 9 miles, state water. Farther out deep, there's been blue waters getting in a lot closer. It's going to keep on getting closer. The kingfish bites really turned on. Dorado, which we don't normally have big numbers on, but there's some really good numbers for us out there, deeper along some rips and structures. So talking about the kingfish action, it's about as good as it gets as far as numbers goes. They're in that 50 to 90 foot range. I've been trolling those Savage Lures, Max Stick, Speed Runners. These things, they troll really, really good. They take the abuse of those toothy fish. I mean, the kingfish and the wahoo can just nail it, and it doesn't abuse it. So you can troll this bait over and over. Look for bait balls out there. I saw a whole bunch of bait balls in 60 foot, so troll through those. Troll them at about 5 to 7 knots. Like I said, these baits swim really, really good. They get a really aggressive bite. They're really, really, really tough with single hooks, so if you have any grass, which we haven't had any, they're not going to get all tangled up, and they're really great. We've been using like a Penn Torque 30 on these guys, up to a 16 International, which does a great job on the kingfish. It's been an early bite, real early in the morning, up to about like 9, 10 o'clock. Seems to fade off after that, so any shiny colors you got and that sun keeps up, that's the best bite you can go in there. So using some colors, I've been using what I call a Dorado color on that, and it's been crushing it. So it's not a big kingfish, but we had like 20 kingfish literally in an hour. Got a picture of this there, and you can see that Savage Lure right there, the little Dorado color I'm talking about. It's getting crushed.
You got it. You and the Bones, man.
Bones is on it. He was a busy man. He was like a special teams going everywhere that day. So hit to the Dorado. The Dorado, they've been good, decent numbers out here with the Gulf Coast. It's been good. We've been pulling some daisy chains, Islander lures, so make those yourself. We went early in the season up, but put 2 up on the top and put your hook on the very last one, or use some singles rig or without the ballyhoo. You can add it with or without negative, but it hitting both. They've been behind the shrimp boats and also along any rips you can find. We found a good rip the other day in 350 to 380 foot of water. You can put a full spread out and troll these guys at 6.5 to 8 knots. It works really good. Look for these fish here probably to hold on to mid-October or so I definitely take advantage. We got some really good long-range forecasts coming out, which is going to really bring in that blue water and lots of action coming up. So got a picture of a nice little Dorado here. They had like 6 Dorado that day and then released a big blue marlin too.
Wow, that's a nice one, bud.
Nice.
All right, bud, we'll talk to you soon. Shallow sport boat hotspots from the lower coast region. Chad says that you want to go trout fishing in the lower coast has been good in 3 to 5 feet of water with saltwater assassin soft plastics. Flounder fishing is getting better along the ICW and in the guts and land cuts and the east cut, all the cuts and guts. All right, and then offshore, plenty of kingfish action over the structure and the Dorado bite out deeper along the rips and the shrimp boats, Bree.
Cuts and guts. All right.
Guts.
Well, with the weather on all of our minds lately, let's see how that's affecting the bite in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region with Captain Bink Grimes. Go for it, Bink.
The north wind we had last week felt pretty good. It dropped temps. This week with the Harold out in the Gulf, it's kept our temperatures in the high 80s, which has been quite a break from 100 that we've seen for about 45 straight days. Fish have responded. Good catches taken on top waters and soft plastic. Some birds have worked in the bay over shrimp. A low barometer that with those storms in the Gulf is usually a recipe for big trout. And this week didn't disappoint. Numerous trout were caught and released while working shell. Trout 5 to 7 pounds. Grassy banks along the North Shoreline East Bay are holding solid trout for waders, tossing live bait in top waters, while the upper end of West Matagorda Bay is being consistent. Trout to 5 pounds over shell. Spots like Coon Island, the Barge, Half Moon Reef are holding large schools of trout on Bass Assassins and Little Johns. In Freeport, those back lakes and bayous around the Bass Drop and Chocolate Bay, good for trout on the reefs. Live shrimp under a popping cork worked on the edge of those reefs have worked well. Rockport anglers, they found good trout on top waters around the Super Flats and in Mesquite Bay, tossing top waters and Bass Assassins around Mud Island and Trailer Island has worked as well. Port O'Connor got Ben Smith said there's lots of trout under birds in the back reaches of the bay. With this tropical storm that we've had out in the Gulf, our tides have finally swollen. We haven't had a good high tide in about 3 months, so we finally got it with this this tropical storm out there. Waders working the flats adjacent to Pasco found good fish on sheep pups and soft dines. Mirrolures work tight around the rocks at the jetty as well. There's that photo. Owen Koshik of East Bernard caught released his trout while fishing with Colin and I on the Texas Insider Fishing Report cameras. They were on our boat last week in East Matagorda Bay, and we had a pretty good time. Redfish, full redfish have been begun their trek to the Gulf. There's been a lot along the beachfront from Surfside to Port Aransas. All the jetties are players of Surfside and Freeport Jetty are holding lots of redfish on cracked blue crabs. Porter Connor jetties full of big reds in 35 to 60 foot of water, as are the Rocks and Port Aransas are holding those big reds. Guide Michael Roth took advantage of these swollen tides from the tropical storm and quickly caught limits bruiser reds in West Matagorda Bay. He's been using live shrimp and chunks of mullet under corks. Waders have found good fish in West Bay while wading the South Shoreline with live shrimp. As always, we encourage you, those slot-sized fish, to keep them, but let those big bruisers go. There's a lot of school fish starting to show up right now. I know it's hot, but fall action is starting to happen. Guy Brett Sweeney said the best schooling action is really going to start in September, but he's starting to see signs of big pods of reds in about 2 dozen or more, so that's a good thing. If you black drum, if you find any piece of shell this time of year, you'll normally find a black drum on live shrimp, especially with the tides that we have right now. Shell in Turtle Bay and Tres Palacios Bay are, on those incoming tides. There's a lot of drum in that 20-inch class. There's also a lot of drum in the East Matagorda Bay right now around Boiler Bayou and Raymond Shoals. We're taking those plastic shrimp and we're tipping them with fish bites, and it's really, really paid off for trout, reds, and black drum. We've never caught black drum in East Bay like we have, but we've never thrown those plastic shrimp tipped with fish bites either. So I think it's really making a good thing for us. Spots like Shell Island, Twin Island, Crab Lake, and Oyster Lake in Matagorda are holding lots of black drum. Bill Day's Reef, Panther Reef, and all those reefs in the middle of San Antonio Bay near Seadrift are holding drum as well. Offshore, plenty of tarpon in about 25 to 40 foot of water near Freeport and Matagorda. It was been a little bumpy this week, but it's going to get calm later in the weekend, and man, it's going to be good. I'm going to be out there chasing poons. There's been a lot of fish, 90 to 120 pounds. Most anglers are drifting mullet. We're throwing coon pops. We're throwing big bass assassins, the big 5-inch bass assassins rigged on a coon pop. And we're seeing an influx of tarpon right now. And from now through September and early October is our best time of the year. So there's some really big ones out there right now. And a lot of big sharks shadowing them as well. But that's it for the Fish Bites Middle Coast region. Please keep practicing sound judgment. Please release more than you take. We're going to be in Austin this week asking the Parks and Wildlife Commission to keep the trout limit at 3 or less and just keep these conservation tactics going, because it's really improving our fishing, and we've got to really catch and release.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. I agree with you. The cake of fish over 25 inches is ridiculous, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Coast hotspots, Mirrolure, Middle Coast hotspots. You said the trout are good on the mid-bay reefs in East Matagorda Bay for waders, tossing she-dogs and Mirrolure soft dines. And then if you want to go catch a redfish, the redfish are good in West Matagorda Bay against the grass lines on the North Shoreline of mullets and shrimps.
All right, the lower fresh region is closing us out strong, but before we find out the what and where, we're seeing what to
wear at the workbench for new products with Dave Farrell.
Yeah, if you get some of these, you don't even have to trim your toenails anymore. You
How
just,
does
put
that
your,
work?
you just put your hooves in there. Nobody can see them.
Your hubs. Oh, Dave. Only you. We'll be back.
Davey boy.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win. Fenwick, feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Island Lures, tournament tackle. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Mirrolure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Guys, today's Power Pole tip of the week is about how easy it is to install your power pole. Now, this particular power pole, we used a jack plate adapter plate which works very well because you don't have to drill any holes into your transom. So let's talk about how easy it is to install. It's real simple. We got 2 bolts that bolt to the side of the jack plate, like this T&H Marine jack plate. And then we have the 4 bolts that will actually bolt the pole to the bracket himself. Now keep in mind that Power Pole makes 70 different brackets. So all those guys that are in pontoons or little technical poling skiffs, we have the ability to mount these things and make it easy and fun for you. For you guys that want to save a little bit of weight on a technical poling skiff, you might want to bolt it straight to the transom like we used to do old school. If you have any questions about any installation or any power poles, just simply go to powerpole.com and those questions can be answered for you. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
Well, I love trolling the edge with Taco Marine, and what that also means is that we got new products in this part of the show, Dave.
Yes.
So guess what? Let's get right into it.
Well, we're going to start off there with those Gill Marine boots there. We've got the Hydro short boot, which is the Glacier one there. I mean, the camo, I'm sorry, the short boot camo, and the Hydro mid boot Glacier. And these are boots made by Gill. Gill's been making stuff for a long time. They're big into the foul weather and the sailboating and stuff, so they make really, really good, high-quality stuff. As a matter of fact, these are 100% rubber compound. They keep your feet warm and dry. They have non-slip razor-cut soles on the bottom of them. If you turn it over and show the bottom, it's got those razor cuts, really good non-skid on just about any surface, mud, wet fiberglass, anything. They have a neoprene lining inside. It's warm and it has a shock absorber to it. They're very easy to clean. They're easy to slide on and off. It's got a nice little tab here to help you get them on and off. And they also have removable cushioned inner soles and a nice heel on them as well. So
where do we go to get them?
GillMarine.com. You can get
right.
both those. Next, we have some of my favorite shirts. There are the Aftco Arrows. There's Arrow Mesh, and this is the hooded fishing shirt. They're super breathable, very, very light with this Arrow Mesh fabric. Just really nice stuff. Keeps you cool and comfortable, even when it's really, really humid out, which is what we have to deal with. Lightweight and breathable. UPF 50 on there. They also have a DWR stain-resistant coating, so blood doesn't stick to them as much. 80% poly, 5% recycled poly, and 8% spandex, so it stretches really good. And quick dry and active fit, so they fit like they're supposed to.
Gotcha.
Aftco.com to get that.
Okay.
Next, we've got the Power Bait Bonga shrimp. These are infused with the Power Bait formula. I think these are really good-looking shrimp. They have that shrimp shape and that big fan tail. It makes it glide down to the bottom. It'll actually kind of looks like it's flying. Rigs well on a jig head or an EWG hook to go weightless. Comes in 11 colors: chartreuse, gold, new penny, pearl white, glow, all the good ones. And these will be coming out in September. And
I like the size.
Yes, it is. It is a really good size.
It can be seen.
Yep. Last but not least, we've got the Eagle Claw L200 4 ELF. This is the Billfish live and chunk bait hook. It's non-offset circle hook, so the Billfish Foundation really loves it. It's good for releasing billfish. It usually finds its way right in the corner of the mouth because it is a true circle hook. This
is the hook they use at Casa Vieja Lodge.
Well, there you go.
It's laser 7.0.
Laser sharp, finds the corner. It comes in a 7/0, 8/0, 9/0, and a 10/0. And like I said, it's endorsed by the Billfish Foundation. As you can notice, it starts out with a 5/0, a little lighter wire, and as you go up to that 10, it gets a little thicker, because you'll be catching bigger fish with it. But these are perfect for sailfish and small blue marlins for
sure. This is an 8.0. You just got caught up with the 50 count.
Oh, there you go.
All right, bud.
7/0, 8/0, 9/0, 10/0.
Sorry about that. Good job, Dave.
All right.
And remember, Eagle Claw, all built in America.
That's correct.
All right, Bree, let's roll.
I need to get me a pair of them boots over there.
You can have these.
Okay, we're getting you out on Choke Canyon, Somerville, Fayette County, Travis, and our tried and true Falcon in the Lower Fresh region with Matt Reed. So listen up and get ready for some jaw-dropping bass photos. Go for it, Matt.
All right, Bray, let's get this thing kicked off down here in South Texas. Mike Bates sent me reports from Choke Canyon.
The lake is now 25.5 feet low and pretty much falling daily. Water temperatures are pushing 90, so it's been very, very, very hot lately. His numbers are still real good on his half-day trips. They're catching 30 to 40 by noon with size up to 6 pounds. He's still, still having a hard time finding one of those really big ones, one of those South Texas True Giants, one of those 8 to 10 pounders, but still catching a lot of really good fish. Not much has changed, though. It's mostly shallow early around the hydrilla. Saltwater, swim baits, jerk shad, and generals have been the best attack. If you're fishing an area that has bait fish in it, you're going to catch them. So cover as much water as you can. Try to find as many areas that fit that description and catch what's there and move on and look for some more. My baby, Falcon Lake, the bass have been biting pretty well. It's very similar to last week's conditions. Obviously, since we're stuck in the middle of summer, the water continues to drop daily. You can catch numbers on a square bill crankbait on the shallow rocks right now, but most small. So I'm concentrating on most of the time on main lake rock structure. The size has been much better out there. At 10 to 20 foot range is your target. The fish are biting a pretty wide variety of, plastic techniques. Texas rigs, shaky heads, and Carolina rigs have all been productive. This week, we've also had a pretty good deep crankbait bite develop. Some big ones have definitely hit the deck this week on all of those techniques. Greg Boyd sent me a report from Lake Somerville. He says it's still hot and slow at Somerville. Largemouth are biting just a little bit on the isolated brush piles and rocks in about 12 to 18 feet of water. Your big worms and dark shades have been the best bet. Fayette County, don't worry with the shallow stuff at all right now. Move straight out to the drops on the main lake points and road beds with a Carolina rig jerk shad or big worm. 12 to 18 feet has been the target range. There's also some scattered fish in the discharge. It's amazing that those fish can feed in that hot water discharge with those water temps above 110, but they do it all the time in that moving water. They'll move in there and feed and then get out and get a little relief. Brian Cotters, a report from Lake Travis, fishing pretty good right now. Lots of schoolies still in the deep marinas out on the main lake. Some of them are just in the deep coves out there, but it's all related pretty close to the main lake. Jaywalkers and small swim baits have been your best bet. You're trying to copy that bait fish that they're blowing up on top. Later in the day, you want to work the deep ledges and points with finesse jigs, shaky heads, and Texas rig soft plastics. The bites you get out there will average bigger, so that's where you want to look later in the day to catch that better one. I've got 3 pictures here from me down at Falcon this week. I had a fun group of kids young men. I call them kids. When you're old as me, they're kids. But Grant with his personal best, Devin with his personal best, and myself with just a nice Falcon chunk.
Imagine that. They caught their personal best with you.
You got some catfish for us this week, Matt?
I got a few catfish. Ram Ray sent me a report from down at Falcon. The keeper-sized cats are being caught anywhere from 10 to 30 foot using stink bait and fresh cut bait. If you're after a trophy blue cat, they're on the river ledges, pretty deep in the day, but at night they move up on the edges. Fresh cut bait or live tilapia or bluegill have been your main keys to catching those trophies.
All right, Matt, so we're coming there in October. I'm going to be fishing with you on October 5th. I know it's a long ways away, bud, but you got to give me something to hold on to. What should I be anticipating?
Those photos?
Just anticipate your cork going under and it's being a big one on the other end, okay? Oh, we don't have corks, but you're going to catch a big one out on the main lake. And, sometimes there's crankbait bite, sometimes it's soft plastic, but it should be going on really well in it, and it'll actually have cooled off a little bit.
All right, well, I'm bringing one of my good buddies from Wisconsin with me, so he's very excited about coming, and he'd be a good guy for you to know when you head north. How are you sitting in the standings with your tour series?
End of the year, I ended up kind of a mediocre, finished 43rd in the points this year out of 200, so just kind of a so-so year, but ended it with a good finish at the end. That always puts a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it's like hitting that big drive off of the AT&T, you know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, bud. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hotspots from your region. He said Falcon Lake are doing a couple of different things. You can throw square bill crankbaits on the shallow gravel points for numbers. The big ones are out in the deeper area of the main lake. Texas rig big worms and deep crankbaits are turning up some giants.
You need something to hold on to. I was talking about those amazing photos with the big bass. That's what you hold on to for October.
Yeah.
And you're bringing a Wisconsin up there, don't you know?
I'm bringing the man from the cheese.
You're gonna have all those accents to work on, don't you know?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. You're gonna have to help me with that.
Okay.
It's football
I
season.
don't even know what accent I'm doing right now.
That's what I'm happy about.
Football season.
Fantasy
Woo-hoo!
football.
What is your fantasy football league name?
Dark side of the moon.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And yours? You
30
have-
years old.
You have a fantasy
I don't have one.
football?
I have 2 kids that just don't have time for fantasy football. I wish I did. I did
I
in
don't
college.
know anything about it. But who's your team
But
in
I
the
love
college?
football.
You're a Gator
I'm a
man?
Gator. Yeah.
And what
Florida
about you,
Gator.
Bree?
I went to a school with no football team, so I'll go with the Gator, I guess.
Well, I didn't even go to a school, but the University of Alabama's the Roll Tide is me. And you know why that is? When I was a kid, black and white TV, they'd come out in a hound's tooth. It was the coolest thing
Oh
ever.
my
It was like the
gosh.
President of the United
Whatever.
States
You're
walking
just a
in.
We'll
jump
see you
on,
next
that's all.
week. Go catch them
Roll
fish.
Tide.
No. Bye.